considerable detail. Both the leaders went into considerable detail in exchanging views on the shared challenge of terrorism, which is a problem faced by all countries. In this context, of course, Pakistan came up, both in the context of the activities that it has been continuing against India and other countries in the region, as well as in the context of global terrorism.
Ranjit Kumar from Rakshak News wants to know maritime security issues in areas like South China Sea, Indian Ocean, were they discussed during the summit?
Well, I would refer him to the joint statement and para 10 of the joint statement, which clearly says the leaders agreed to launch a dialogue on maritime security and consultations on security and defense, and to enhance naval cooperation. They underlined the need to preserve safety and stability in the Indian Ocean. The EU side greatly appreciated the naval escort that has been provided by the Indian Navy to the World Food Programme and sought greater cooperation between the EU Atlanta and the Indian Navy.
Was the human rights issue with reference to J&K and CA raised by EU at the summit? This is a question from Sridhar from Asian Age, and there's a similar question from Maha from CNN News 18.
Yes, there was a glancing reference by President Charles Michel in the context of the EU having a much better understanding of these issues, thanks to the discussions that were held during the visit of our External Affairs Minister to Brussels in February this year. And you would have seen the EU press conference in which they answered this, and they expressed their faith in Indian institutions in addressing these issues.
The next question is from Natalie. I would like to ask how far the India-EU water partnership has progressed.
Well, there also I would point you to the India-EU Strategic Partnership Roadmap to 2025, which has a pretty detailed exposition on the water partnership between India and the European Union. Both sides have agreed now to strengthen water-related matters through the Joint Working Group on Water and the India-EU Water Forum, as well as in the context of the India-EU Water Partnership. They will ensure continuous support for the IEWP in different priority areas, reflecting the need for combination of good governance and coordination, as well as appropriate strategies, technical approaches, research and innovation technologies. They will enhance the partnership between stakeholders on both sides to enable the sharing of standards, best practices in sectors such as water management. So obviously this was an important area of discussion between India and EU.
So there is a follow-up question from Nainima from the print. Was there any discussion on defense procurement from EU by India?
There was no great detailed discussion on this particular aspect, but both sides did agree on the need to scale up the defense partnership between India and the EU. And as you know, top officials from the defense side had visited India in January this year, and some good discussions had been held at that time.
There's another follow-up question on the BTIA from Elizabeth Roche. Is there a time frame set for conclusion of the BTIA?
There is no time frame set for the conclusion of the BTIA, but both sides have agreed that the two ministers who have now been mandated to take this discussion forward should meet as early as possible, hopefully in the next few months.
I don't see any further questions, so this concludes our briefing. Thank you very much for joining, and thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Vikas Swarup, Secretary West, giving an overview of the important deliverables today, the big takeaways as far as today's India-EU summit is concerned. Most importantly, he talked about one of the biggest takeaways being the high-level dialogue at the ministerial level in trade and commerce and investment space. He also talked about the other issues that were taken up by our Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who co-chaired the event. He talked about the recovery post-pandemic was one of the important aspects that was also deliberated upon, and also India and the EU membership also in fact talked about how it is essential to maintain uninterrupted supply supply chain, ease of doing business, that also came up in the discussion. And there were 5 important documents that were signed at the conclusion. In fact, Abhishek is going to be with us in a bit to talk about those 5 important documents, and also the larger roadmap as far as the roadmap 2025 is concerned. That also we're going to talk about. Mr. Swarup also talked about the development of digital economy as well as artificial intelligence, the collaboration and convergences in these space as far as India and EU is concerned. That also came up in the discussion today. Collaborations and renewal of scientific and technological cooperation. Well, that was also one of the important aspects that came up in the summit discussion. He said that all dimensions more or less were covered, which also included joint response to pandemic, convergences and collaborations, particularly in trade, economic space, trade, commerce, investment. That's the space, as well as the pandemic, post-pandemic recovery, and the global response to pandemic COVID-19. That was broadly covered in the summit today. EU, in fact, also appreciated India's role in providing pharmaceuticals, keeping that supply chain uninterrupted. India's role under the leadership of Prime Minister Modi was widely appreciated by other EU chairs. In fact, Abhishek is with me, I've been told. Abhishek, now let's first talk about that high-level dialogue at the ministerial level that also Mr. Swarup elaborated upon. Very, very important. Remember, we were talking about FTA. In fact, there was a very pointed question on that FTA also. What's the sense that you're making of it? Where is this all leading to? FTA, we're moving forward with that? I mean, there has been some forward movement.
This is in a one step in that direction. Because the FTA, as we have earlier also talked, it's not a one day or like a month dialogue that can facilitate an FTA between India and European partners. It will take some time because a lot of obstacles involved in trade dynamics between India and European Union. There is service factor where India has a lot of edge over European Union. And then there are the technological transfer of scientific innovation. So these intellectual property right is involved there. So there are a lot of balance has to be done before the FTA agreement can be reached. But yet again, establishing a high-level dialogue with two at a ministerial level, which will regularly meet. This is one positive step in that direction where both sides have expressed their willingness to go ahead with a mutually beneficial and comprehensive free trade agreement.
Recovery as far as post-pandemic era is concerned, that was also discussed, Abhishek. We've been talking about how the timings of the summit and the entire global response in containing pandemic 19, that more or less dominated the proceedings. But that was not the only point of concern, not only for India, but the other EU states as well.
Actually, second post-pandemic area, we have known that in the last decade at least, China has emerged as a global factory for the global manufacturing. It has become as a hub where every country around the globe has the manufacturing base substantially present in China. So post-COVID, there has been a concern about making a centered approach towards manufacturing, making manufacturing bases. So there can be some diversification on that. India, as an Asian emerging economic power, can encash on that sentiment where it can make itself available for the investment of coming from European Union, from USA and other developed nations. So there, India has seen an opportunity where it is trying to convey its partner and allies that you can come and build your stuff here. We are having a better management. We are having a better government policies, better infrastructure policies. So these are the dynamics that also pan out in post-COVID scenario.
Abhishek, stay with us. We will try and get back to you in a bit. Live, if you can join us live. Meanwhile, let me quickly go across to Arun also, who was also, in fact, listening to Mr. Swarup. Arun, over to you, especially on the point of post-pandemic response. Okay, I've been told Arun is going to be with us in a bit. Abhishek, continue to stay with us. You know that point where he specifically mentioned that the EU members hailed India's, not only the way India responded to the situation, but the way India continued to lead from the front when it comes to uninterrupted supply of the pharmaceuticals that were needed at that point in time. And India was the front leader there at that point in time.
So To know this vaccine whole vaccine dynamics in little detail, India is a hub where it can produce. It is actually producing 60% of world vaccine as of now. Almost 100 odd vaccines are being tried for COVID to fight against COVID, of which about 10 odd vaccines are in advanced stages of human trials. India, at least 2 Indian companies are involved in COVID vaccines. So India is not only a hub where it can manufacture a whole lot of vaccine to make it available to the world. It is also trying to create a vaccine on its own. So while developing and doing that research and development, it is also going to be a manufacturing center for global supply of vaccines. Now, whole logistics that involves a lot of cold refrigeration and a chain where vaccine once manufactured and till the point it is delivered to a person, it has to have a very safe and secure logistical chain. Over the years, India has been able to build that chain of logistics in vaccine, from vaccine manufacturing to delivery at a point. Also, the experience of India over the last 30, 40 years in this manufacturing of vaccine, delivering it through various international agencies of repute like UNICEF, that will also come handy when COVID vaccine manufacturing and its global supply, uninterrupted and unhindered supply, will be wanted by all nations. So this is one area where India's long-term expertise is something that has an edge. And as the Prime Minister Modi and European partners, they have expressed this thing that the vaccine which comes as a breakthrough to fight against COVID should not be, as a matter of policy, it should not be a commercial sellable thing. It should act as a human good, and it should be accessible to all, it should be affordable to all, and continuous supply should be ensured so that the world civilization at one go can handle this pandemic and win over this pandemic.
All right, Abhishek, stay with us. In fact, I'm going to quickly go across to Arun. Arun, now a little bit of elaboration when Mr. Swaroop talked about the renewal of scientific and technical cooperation. That was also one of the domains that was widely covered in the summit. Pretty much a lot of forward movement as far as the last EU summit, which of course was hosted by India here in New Delhi, particularly scientific and technological cooperation, India and EU.
That's right, Sakal. When we talk about this important summit, that's the India-EU summit, I mean, you can say that wide-ranging issues were discussed. Now, these issues, these point or big takeaways include, or primarily big highlights includes a discussion in the field of artificial intelligence, scientific research and development, and of course, we know this fact as far as innovation missions which India is running as of now, various innovation missions that India is running as of now. So how can cooperation can take place in these aspects? So now, when we talk about India, what does India get when we talk about this India-EU summit? I mean, all eyes were on FTA, that what exactly happens when the talk about the FTA. See, at a time when all the major economies are trying to reignite their economy, they're trying to again, come back and trying to get up after this post-COVID time. I mean, no country will be in a position to immediately, go ahead in the direction of signing an FTA, because FTA means free movement of goods from one country to another or with lower tariffs. That means you are trying to impact the domestic manufacturing units or domestic, market of that economy. So now, when at a time when India is talking about Atmanirbhar Bharat, and the EU is of course also, because it's a 27 countries bloc, it is also trying to, again trying to bounce back after the COVID pandemic. The one good thing that has happened, that the pause button has been removed. So now the talks will happen as far as FTA is concerned. So we can expect some kind of negotiations happening at various levels, be it the ministerial level, be it the secretary level. So now the talks will be ignited once again when we talk about the FTA. So that's an important part.
Arun, I'm just interrupting you because this is a very very important news point that you've raised. So when you say that a pause button has been lifted, and today Mr. Swaroop categorically talked about the high-level dialogue at the ministerial level that has been said in this trade and investment space, which clearly means that besides India's response to containing COVID-19 or leading the global fight against COVID-19, besides that, for us, for India, this FTA was a way important issue, and there has been a substantial movement on that. Could we say that this has been, a kind of breakthrough? A kind of breakthrough, because FTA has been a long pending issue. If whether you talk about the collaborations and convergences in this space. So yes, we have moved much ahead. We have moved many steps forward in the FTA space, the trade space.
That's right, and that's the need of the hour. We have to move ahead when we talk about boosting the trade and economy aspect as well. So when we talk about FTA, yes, we are gradually progressing as far as signing of FTA is concerned. But yes, India is ensuring it at every multilateral forum, at every bilateral forum, that we won't be impacting our domestic manufacturers. We won't be impacting when we talk about a local manufacturer. So when an FTA would be signed, it would be a win-win situation for both India and for EU as well. We know this fact that technologically EU is very much advanced country. So what India has got, we were talking on that part, Sakal. Number one, the forward movement, we can say that on FTA has ignited, where various dialogues will be established, at various mechanisms will be established at very high levels, so that FTA can move forward. Second important part is about science and technological part. That's an important part, and that should be noteworthy. We know this fact that FTA forward movement is happening, but yes, on various initiatives of government. So when we're talking about that, what India gets, FTA forward movement, we can say that's number one. Number two, India is running various initiatives like Smart City Movement, Atal Innovation, a smart City Mission, Atal Innovation Mission. These are some of the big initiatives of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, whereby India, or you can say that Prime Minister Narendra Modi is looking for a technological advancement cooperation from countries like EU that can help us in the advancement of such initiatives that India is running as of now. So Smart City Mission, when we talk about Atal Innovation Mission, so all these missions and initiatives of government gets a major push when the cooperation is established.
Yeah, so Arun, basically all that, of course, comes under the development of digital economy vertical. And also he mentioned, when he was talking about this, he mentioned about the artificial intelligence and collaborations in that space. Arun, many thanks for putting this in a larger perspective and describing the significance, the big takeaways of the India's intervention and the takeaways of the India-EU summit. Thank you for joining us, Arun. And now let's move on and let's shift our focus to the other big two stories that we, in fact, have been tracking for you, for the viewers since morning. First is Mumbai, rain-ravaged Mumbai. Mumbai and adjoining areas are witnessing heavy rainfall. We've seen continuous rainfall since yesterday. An orange alert had been initially issued for north-south Konkan, north-Madhya Maharashtra today, which was later, in fact, converted into red zone by the Met Department. Waterlogging began in low-lying areas, including Parel, Hindu Mata, Sion, King Circle, Andheri. BMC, in fact, has advised Mumbaikars to not venture close to the sea or in areas where there is a lot of waterlogging. Other parts of the state include Sindhudurg, Ratnagiri, Nashik, Raigad, Palghar are other areas which are also experiencing consistent rainfall. Heavy rainfall since morning has led to waterlogging. You can see these visuals. Many parts of Mumbai inundated, which has been also Met Department has predicted more showers. The city's civic body, BMC, has asked residents to follow all necessary precautions and stay away from the shore. The Met Department, like we mentioned earlier, had upgraded the alert orange to red for the city, warning of heavy to very heavy rainfall. Basically, a red alert indicates immediate action to be taken by the authorities. In fact, Shama, my colleague from Mumbai, in fact, has filed this ground report a while back. Let's take a look. Shama is joining us live. Shama, we're going to play out the report, your report, but just quickly, in fact, update our viewers the latest as far as the next 48-hour advisory by the Met Department, all that, and the measures that the BMC has put in place to contain the situation, because this, of course, is an annual affair, the rainfall, the monsoons there. Has this been contained well this time around?
Right now we can say that the rains have stopped and all the waterlogging issues at all the low-lying areas have already been cleared. The water has receded. The situation is under control currently in Mumbai and the adjoining areas. But as we mentioned earlier as well, that for the next 48 hours, there has been a yellow alert from the Met Department. That means heavy to very heavy rainfalls. Rainfall could be there at isolated places, and we still have to be in a watch mode. We still have to be in an alert mode that if the same continuous heavy rainfall continues, then there would be more problems rising out from the situation. We also saw that, earlier in the day when, because we are seeing the rains are continuous and heavy since last 2 days. And we did see that as the rain gets all the speed, all the low-lying areas, including Sion, Dadar, Hindmata, Parel, these areas get waterlogged and a lot of issues arises from here. And that is why the BMC, the Brihan Mumbai Municipal Corporation, has advised people, has urged people not to go close to the sea, also not to go in the areas where there is waterlogging problems. Because as we know that at around 7 p.m. the seas are pretty rough right now if we see the visuals, and around 7 p.m. there was a high tide, and that the waves measuring of 3.28 meters were arising from the sea, and that is why the entire sea face area in different parts, be it Burley Sea Face, Marine Drive, and all the beaches, including the Girgaon Chowpatty and other beaches, Dadar beaches, the police is patrolling over there, pumping machines on all the major low-lying areas have been already placed. And because of that, we are seeing as the rain stops, and if it is stopped for like good 2 hours, 3 hours, then entire water logging, the entire water recedes from that area. So that is a good news. But another problem which is arising over here, we already know that we are facing the worst COVID situation numbers in the state. And after that, we also get to witness various diseases arising out of because of this waterlogging, including the leptospirosis, dengue, malaria. So all these things we have to face as Mumbaikars.
In fact, Shama, you filed this report earlier today. Let's quickly take a look at this ground report that you filed from Mumbai Central today. Let's take a look at that.
Thane and Navi Mumbai have been experiencing continuous and heavy rainfall since 2 days. This has caused a lot of issues for the people and for the Mumbaikars. We are also seeing issues of waterlogging in several low-lying areas, including Sion, Parel, Hindmata, Andheri, and other areas which are considered to be low-lying in Mumbai. Other than Mumbai, we are also seeing areas in Maharashtra, including Sindhudurg, Ratnagiri, Raigad, Akola, Jalgaon. These areas have also been experiencing continuous heavy rainfall, and which has also caused a lot of trouble for the people living over there. The BMC has issued a warning or an advisory for the people that they should not be venturing close to the sea or to the areas where the waterlogging issues are currently being observed, because there would be a high tide of around 3.28 meters in the evening at around 7 p.m. Shama Mishra, VD India, Mumbai.
Shama, before I say thank you to you, so next 24 hours we expect a situation to ease out very briefly.
Well, if compared to today and yesterday, the situation is likely to ease out, but we still have to be on a watch mode, as the North Konkan and South Konkan has been given yellow warning, but Madhya Maharashtra remains on orange alert. That means we still have to be on an alert mode.
All right, many thanks, Shama, for joining us on this broadcast. Before we wrap up, let me quickly go back to Bangalore, where of course the lockdown, a week-long lockdown has again been imposed by the Karnataka Chief Minister Yadurappa. Remember, he announced a 7-day comprehensive lockdown in Bangalore urban and rural districts. He's further added that the government will ensure that there is no disruption in the essential supply, and the Karnataka government in fact will also ensure that there is no inconvenience caused to the people there. In fact, the Bangalore police this time has come up with a very innovative way of involving citizens. They've decided to seek the help of citizens, young citizens between the age of 18 to 45 to work as civil police wardens to enforce COVID-19 related guidelines in the city. My colleague Aisha Khanam, Aisha Khanam is with us. She's there. Aisha, good evening. In fact, we just briefly dipped into that report also that you filed from Bangalore Central. Aisha, if you could hear me. Well, Bangalore police has come up with this innovative, pretty much innovative in the sense to involve civil society when it comes to enforcement of the guidelines. But how has been the response, and how is Bangalore actually responding to this week-long lockdown that has been imposed by the state government, considering we've seen a bit of a spike in the cases in the last 1 week or so in Karnataka? Well, we couldn't get to Aisha Khanam there, a bit of an audio snag there, but we will be, of course, playing out that report later in our bulletins as well. Meanwhile, thank you very much for tuning in to DD News. Thank you very much for staying with us. Namaskar.